I've got several things on my list that I've compiled for this morning. This is a fairly extensive listing. See, those are all brand new stuff I've come up to talk about right now. Now, I've still got maybe half a box, maybe two-thirds of a box of paper. So, well, I'll write down. When I've got more than one job to do, I've got to write down a phone number or an address. A lot of times I'll have, these are all coming on my cell phone, so I do have a record to call. But sometimes I have two or three numbers together, and I have accidentally called the wrong person. I said, well, look, I've got to get somebody else first. I'd call you by mistake. I've done that more than once, but if I write the number down, I have the number tagged to the customer. But anyway, let me get to this list. Now I'm going to start with Neanderthals. The name comes from, they found these skeletons back in the 1800s in the Neander Valley in Germany. That's where the name Neanderthal comes from. Um, Now, the original thought was when they found these back in the 1800s. The original thought was these were subhuman. They weren't. They were kind of our earlier ancestors. They were kind of a stupid people, and later they've found that they probably weren't stupid. They were probably fairly intelligent. They that we modern humans, we were just a little bit better at adapting to our environment. Like it gets cold, it gets colder, so we kind of improve our home so that it's a little bit warmer. We figure out how to build fire. Now the pond dries up, so we stop fishing, and we find that the land critters are tasty. We find out that we can grow our own crops. Now, the original thought was that we just killed off all the Neanderthals, but when they sequenced their DNA, when they sequenced our DNA, this has been the prevalent theory for a number of years, but they found out that each of us living today is about 3 or 4% Neanderthal. So the thought now is that we just interbred with them. There's just more of us than there were of them, and eventually they died out as a species because there's more modern humans than Neanderthals. I mean, we just kind of we intermixed with them, and we had more babies than they did. Then eventually we just all modern humans and no more Neanderthals. We didn't kill them all. We just interbred with them, and we are them. They are us. We are the descendants of the Neanderthal race. That's kind of wild. Um, but this has fascinated me. Some people are more Neanderthal than others. Um, their thoughts were that Neanderthals had a culture. They had a language. Maybe they had multiple languages. They were just in little isolated groups and had separate languages. Uh, but like I said, we are Neanderthals. We are their descendants. Next thing I want to cover now, the Doctor Who. Now, I watched the local PBS station run some of the shows. I found out that they are for download here on YouTube, so there's two or three of the more prevalent, like hour and a half Neanderthal shows. So I'm going to download those and watch them. Now, the ones that I watched, I found interesting. I'm sure there's probably lots of Doctor Who fans out there. Just putting that out there. Sometimes it was kind of silly, but sometimes it was kind of a thought-provoking, interesting show. Of course, after I download it, I might say, well, I enjoyed some of these and not enjoyed others. I don't know. Till I watch something, I can't tell you. There's another one. Let me cover this one if I can. Try to explain this. Now, there's quite a few people here on YouTube. They talk about the cultural differences in different areas. Now, one of the broader subjects for discussion here on YouTube is people that will move from other parts. There's quite a few people from here, from U.S. or Canada, that will move to Germany and discuss the differences and the commonalities and differences. There's a lot of cultural differences. One lady moved from from New Zealand. Her husband is is a native-born German person. She talked about the differences in the culture. Now she talked about her kids. This latest one, a couple of things that for example, a birthday. It's pretty common here in the U.S. For a parent to throw a birthday party. Let's say the kid has a birthday in the middle of the week. They'll say, well, look, while they're off school, we'll just have it on Sunday afternoon. That's pretty common here in the U.S. to have a birthday party, a few days before the actual birthday. But apparently, that's considered bad luck in Germany to throw the birthday party for a kid, before the actual birthday. Just something I found interesting. Another one is, when they're sending the kids off to, it's common there in Germany to have swimming lessons on Friday afternoon. I guess, I don't know if it's part of school or if it's after school, but anyway, it was common there for the parents to soap the kids down, um, and shower them, before going swimming. Now, I can see, here in the U.S., a lot of kids are not going to want their, but older kids, little babies, no big deal, but a lot of older kids are not going to want to have their parents, give them a shower, soap them down, and give them a shower. A lot of kids are, really not going to appreciate that. And that's one of the big cultural differences. Well, nudity, I'm going to discuss that in a second. But anyway, I can see that that's just this lady that it's, I guess it's, they don't want the kids to get the water all dirty or something. That's kind of fun. I remember a few pools that, that requested, that, anybody going in the pool shower first, and then after, if they want to shower after going in the pool, because most of them are chlorinated, and you don't want to go home smelling like chlorine until you take a shower in your own, but in your own shower. Well, let me get to nudity now. That's one thing I'd heard from a number of people earlier, um, many years ago that nudity is no big. But they have what I call these sun worshippers. In the summertime, there were quite a few parks throughout Germany that people would have no problem hanging out naked. It's just part of their culture. That they were interested in getting as much sun as they can through the summer months. But nudity is no big deal. Now there's a video that I've got from it's Nadine Jansen. Now she's going through the streets of Berlin topless. Now, if you don't know who she's a nude model. Just pictures of her. You can download them. I've got a bunch of her stuff if anybody wants it. Her nude pictures. But she's going through the streets of Berlin and topless. She's got two of the biggest pair of the things that women have. She's got two of the biggest pair of those that I've seen on any one female. But anyway, she's going in a convertible through the streets of Berlin. She sits on a Polizei motorcycle topless, and they're sitting there talking. No big deal. So I mean, even in the streets of Berlin, going topless or naked is no big deal. Now, if a chick went naked or topless here in the U.S., or if a chick was topless in the streets of Phoenix, yeah, the police would. The police would try to put a T-shirt or something on her. Just a big difference in our cultures. Let's see. Beard. Now there's a video. I'm thinking this is probably BS. Now there's several guys that when they'd met their wife, they've had facial hair all their life, and their wife had never seen them clean shaven. Now these guys are going clean shaven for the first time and introducing themselves to their current wives, and the wives are freaking out. Now, well, most guys that have spent enough time to put on a nice beard probably aren't going to want to shave it off, because that's quite an effort to. Unless there's some reason you got to shave off your beard, maybe you got a new job that requires you to be clean shaven or something. I don't know, but apparently these wives are clean shaven, and they're freaking out. I'm guessing that's just total BS, because I can't see. Yeah, most wives are. I don't know. There's probably a chick here or there that doesn't appreciate their guy suddenly making that big change. I don't know. Just what I'm putting out there. Found that video kind of interesting, but I think it's total BS. Let's see. Tire. Now, I've had a few jobs come in. It's been real super slow up until yesterday. Now, several jobs came in for yesterday, and I've got to finish a few things today. Now, one thing about celebrating, I'm asking my viewers, what do you think? Now, one thing about going down to one of the self-service auto wrecking yards in Phoenix and buying a used tire, in celebration of all the work that's come in. What do you think? You think it's maybe over the top? You think it's maybe too much? Celebrating the work coming in, going down to an auto wrecking yard and buying a used tire. Now these are just tires that they've taken off. A friend of mine will probably mount it for me. What do you think? You think that's too much? I don't know. These tires like about $25 or something like that. What do you think? Let's see if I covered everything here. Doctor Who, Neanderthals, beard. Oh, the wow signal. I forgot to cover that one. Now, that was back in 77. This guy was listening on, it's 1420 megahertz. That's a frequency. Let me see if I can explain that. It's the frequency is a reason that a lot of the astronomers, radio astronomers, will use 1420 megahertz, 1420 megahertz. It's oscillation frequency of the hydrogen molecule. Hydrogen will emit this frequency anyway, and it thought that this is the frequency that anybody out there, any extraterrestrials will use this, will deliberately transmit on this frequency. Because I don't quite get it. There's lots of other frequencies that are equally as important. I don't know why they'd use that frequency, but there was a guy listening, back in the 70s, and they had this wow signal, the particular combination of signals. Now the thought is now that there was it's used by a number of pieces of equipment, that this guy actually heard another signal, maybe it's a harmonic, something not on that frequency, but something using a lower frequency would generate a harmonic. Sometimes I'll explain harmonics. You got to understand a little bit about the way signals work. But they're thinking this might be something natural here on Earth. This guy had just received and misinterpreted a signal because there was some information with it. He only got it once and didn't get it again. Now some people said, well, it's a harmonic of this particular satellite that was going over. But anyway, this is called the WOW signal. It's fairly famous if you're into radio astronomy, that type of thing. Now, one other thing, if astronomers do start getting signals from space, what do we do about it? Just asking you, how do we, do we respond? Do we send out a signal back? Because they've done that. If like Arecibo, another thing is Carl Sagan and a bunch of other people have, they transmitted a signal. It was back in the 70s. They aimed it back out into space. But, the light is pretty fast, but it still takes, radio signals still take, considering the immense distance through space, anything, any planet that might have anything close to an environment that would be close to anything close to biology that will be human. I tried how to explain this again. What they call the Goldilocks planet, not too hot, not too cold. It's got a breathable atmosphere. The closest planet that might have something close to is several light years away. I think they probably pointed antennas out that direction, and I think so far they haven't got anything. And maybe they're living in a stone age, or maybe their communication is so vastly different than ours. We couldn't understand them. Maybe they're all psychics, and don't need to use a radio. Maybe they all talk to each other with their minds. Just my thoughts. See, I covered the WOW signal. The guy was going, wow, wow, wow. If you guys search it on YouTube, I'm sure it's here, the WOW signal. Okay, I've rambled on long enough. Hey, let's all stay interesting. Colin Brown, let's stay spooky. Goodbye, que Dios. Ciao.